that your warm up? Is that your like Matthew McConaughey warm up?
I got a new life. You would hardly recognize me. I'm so glad.
Yo, we need to get him full screen. I need this full screen, bro.
Oh my
I need
god!
the full experience.
What
Right
in the
now.
hell is happening?
Here we go.
Yeah. You. That's
Yeah.
I'm sure someone has already done it, but someone should do a beat using the oh. I mean, I know I've heard
talked about this.
We should totally.
Let's do it right now. Yeah, after we're done with this, that's what we're
Hell
gonna do.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Who was it? Who's that fucking? I'll intro it later. Who's that motherfucker? Todrick Hall. He's a gay guy. I think he did.
I went to one of his concerts once.
Dude,
he's amazing.
He did this one track with fucking RuPaul. It's the shit, motherfucker.
He's a really talented Todrick Hall. His ass, what do you call it?
The OVO, but not. I mean, you could use it on yours, and it would still be fresh enough that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 174 of Conservatish. My name is Peter Edgar Feliciano, and you are a horrible person for listening to this. You're a problematic person, and I hate you. And make sure you listen wherever you're listening. Make sure you subscribe, rate it, review it, share it with your friends, especially you white rappers from the Bay Area. And I also, you can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. You can find me on TikTok at Conservatish Podcast. You can find me on Parler, on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever. We'll see how long they last. But there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure. It's my privilege to welcome back to the show, because they've been on separately, but now they're together, UnLearn the World and Lil MC. Yay!
Hey.
Yay! Now, before you talk about the fact that you just did mushrooms, where can people find you?
Oh yeah, let's do that first. I just changed my Instagram to now lilmc.music. So you can find me there, Spotify, app, I don't know, all the fucking platforms. Lil MC.
Unlearn the world, as it sounds. Unlearn the world. All social media is such, and you'll see this guy.
Wonderful.
Yeah, you have to actually do that anymore. Like, tell people exactly where to find you. It's like, if you're a legitimate artist, then you're fucking everywhere, right?
There's some people who are like shadow banned, as they say. So even if you search them, you're not going to find them until you type them out specifically. Then there's sometimes like 3 or 4 people down.
You're not dope enough to be found easily enough. That's really what it fucking is.
Might be a possibility. Before we get into it, you guys are wonderful rappers from the Bay Area. On the episode that's coming out on Monday with Pomey, who's a rapper from Pacifica, so it's Rap Week, and it made me think about the fact that you, UnLearn, and I think you too, Megan, I haven't seen you post about it, but whatever, we lost MF Doom a week and a half ago. And I talked about him on my show before. He was my favorite rapper of all time, still is. So fucking, rest in peace to MF Doom. It's a big deal. Yeah.
It sucks. It's such a blow at the end of the year, like as if the year couldn't be shittier enough. You get an icon like that passes, but I think I honestly think that this is gonna make him like one of those mega stars posthumously.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You know what I'm saying? The way that we mythologize certain like pop culture figures, like
Patrice is the one that comes into mind the most for me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't.
Yeah, that's right. Patrice O'Neal was an amazing comedian.
Damn, you're killing it with all of these artist names that I haven't heard of. So I'm about to like go look up everybody after we're done with this pod and trip balls into it.
Yeah, there you go. MF Doom is one of, like, lyrically, his cadence. There are some rappers, I think I've talked about it with both of you probably. There are some rappers that are exalted in the underground world that, like, I know I respect, like, whatever, like Tribe is one of, like, I get it. I respect it. I'm great. Every once in a while I'll listen to a Tribe, but it's, but even though lyrically there's more variance to what Tribe did, and even though Mobb Deep talks about the exact same topics every 5 seconds, I had sex, I dealt drugs, I shot somebody, I had sex, I dealt drugs, even though it's the same topic, so lyrically it's not very different, there's something about the cadence and the vibe that speaks to me more than Tribe does.
That makes sense.
And
Do you ever rap though? Like I feel like you have, or do you kind of like stay away from trying to do that too much? Like, have you
No.
ever gone on stage? Yeah.
No, I've never rapped, but I mean, I think I was on a track with you, UnLearn, right? I mean, I sang choruses for rappers.
You sang a What's Real chorus and you recorded it in my house.
Right. But
Yeah, you guys did songs together?
I wasn't on the song. It was a What's Real song, but it was featuring Peter Feliciano. And
okay.
It was recorded in my house.
Right. And yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That was a long time ago. I think it was like 5 years, 6 or 7 years.
I just got a notification on my Facebook the other day of when I went on tour with What's Real, and that was 4 years ago. And that shit feels like I did it the other day.
Yeah, that's
It's
wild.
insane.
Right. Yeah, the Bay Area. You never heard Lil MC? I'm sure we did shows together, like that. You know that old shotgun room at on Sixth.
Yeah.
Showdown.
I'm thinking of
Showdown.
when I saw you perform first was at the Honey Hive Gallery.
Oh yeah.
You performed like some crazy shit, and I just remember you like.
Was he Midnight Febreze? Was he like?
Dude, you would like go to everyone's eyes and like.
I be
stare
knowing
in
your
the
catalog, sir. I know your shit. He was Midnight Febreze for hella long. He was like wearing.
Well, not for long. I only did it like 5 or 6 times. I did. What he's talking about, Mega, is I did drag a couple of times. I know.
Very sad I missed this.
But I like creepy drag. I like performance art wherever it is, as you could tell from my wonderful different hand gestures. So for people who want to see creepy ass fucked up sideshow type of drag, feel free to look.
That's in my bag. Hello, I love that shit.
Oh shit!
It was weird being in the changing room at the Stud, and I'm the only straight one. Everyone else is like obviously like over the top gay, and I'm just like I'm the creep. Hi, I just want to creep people out. It was fun. It was.
I'm really shocked you never did Tourette's Without Regrets, because I feel like we talked about it before too.
Yeah, I did it 3 times. Yeah, but I think I think I may have.
You did something to insult the audience, right?
Oh my god!
The last time I think, I did. What did I do?
And that's hard to do. I don't know. It isn't actually that hard to do. I used to think it was, but no. There's a very niche audience that goes to
Right. They like to pride themselves on we're so open, except for about different thoughts. You can be open in, race, in art, in whatever, but if you think differently than us, or if you push us a little bit, especially if you push us on a night where the bar is closed, so nobody's drunk, nobody's a little buzzed.
The bar was never closed, was it?
On the last time I performed there, yeah.
Oh shit!
They had something weird going on with the Opera House's liquor license that night.
Oh, yeah.
That's
so the lights were a little too bright, and there was people weren't loose. It was a weird.
What did you say that offended? Because I mean, like as a rap battler at Tourette's, I kind of learned that there's certain things you don't say at Tourette's. And you'll lose the audience because it is one of those.
Hypersensitive white liberal audiences.
Exactly. Yeah. And the audience judges.
If you, I don't want you guys to like. I like how both of you are like disappearing at certain times. What the hell is wrong with you guys?
Yeah. We don't want to show you the real sex dungeon that is our bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of pink handcuffs behind the two of you.
See, you never know. It could be.
Sabes. I don't want you guys to ruin a connection that you have just because I blew it up. Doesn't mean you have to do it as well. Because I've talked shit. I've talked not about the performers or whatever, but I've definitely been like, here's some problems that I've had with Tourette's Without Regrets. I wish. What was some of the topics? Was it because obviously I don't think Megan, I don't think you use the N-word in raps. Do you normally?
No, never. Me? No.
I'm asking.
What the fuck? I mean, oh God, I just feel like I had this conversation with another. I feel like we might have already spoken about this on my past pod. I had a friend that wanted to use the N-word in a rap, and I'm just like, what value does it add for you? You know what I mean? Like, why do you feel the need to say that? Mm-hmm. Why would I feel the need to say the N-word? That's so fucking weird. Nah.
Well, it's
Why'd you ask that?
we could certainly get into that later because I certainly do. But as far as using it, so you're not saying that was one of the topics that Tourette's Without Regrets would turn the crowd. Certain insults or
Okay, let's get to what you did to turn the crowd.
Well, for me, what I did to turn the crowd was my plan was, okay, this is my third time performing, maybe fourth. These guys have gotten to know me. I think the first time I did a Hey Ya, and it was I just blew the fucking roof off of everybody. Second time I performed my song, the Me song, and it was during a night. It was it was the July one, so they did a Fuck America show.
Yeah.
And that's when I wrote specifically for that show the third verse in the Me song, for people who know my album, which is all about, how it's easy to say fuck America when you're living ungratefully in the deliciousness of the Bay Area. You're not brave by saying fuck America. But I did it gentle enough and funny enough, and it was packed in the rest of it, that wasn't the last time I performed there.
Okay.
That time, everybody was like, ooh, like they felt a little guilty, but they came with me. They came with me over the mountain. They came with me over the mountain. When I went back, I can't remember what theme show it was, but my plan was, you know what? I'm going to do 5 minutes of stand-up. I'm going to do a song, and then I'm going to put my guitar down, and I'm going to do stand-up. Not a great idea to do the first time you've ever done stand-up in front of a bunch of motherfuckers like that. It wasn't a stand-up show. I wasn't supposed to. I mean, I knew I could. The booker said it was all right for me to do it, but that was not the right setting for me to try my first fucking hand at stand-up. And so I sang Little Mermaid. Everybody was all right. They were singing along. It was good. But then as soon as I took off my guitar, I was like, I feel naked. Holy shit. Like I'm by myself in this. Oh God. And I was like stumbling on words, and I forgot different lines. I mean, it's been like 5 years since I did my last show there, but like I messed up on the words. Cause the thing is that I was introducing topics about masculinity and femininity, which I have lots of, wild opinions about, but there is a way you can do it to bring people along with you. Like I said, I did on that previous show, where you can make it funny, and where people, like a few people would be a little, but they're going to come with you if you make it funny. They're going to come with you if you're practicing.
What did you say that like really turned them off? Because I feel like challenging, I don't know. I'm just curious, what did you say that turned people off?
I need to know this.
I don't remember the exact words, but I know they were turned off like a couple of lines in.
What was your general gist that you feel, wasn't aligned with the audience's belief?
That genuine masculinity is not toxic, it's delicious. That's really what it was. What I mean? That was my last
I don't feel like that would be like that. How you just said it doesn't seem like the audience at Tourette's would reject that.
Again,
right?
You said it was.
Are you sure?
I mean,
I feel like there's like penises galore, and like, I don't know.
There's
to say that it's probably just how did you say it in a way that it's like.
I don't think I delivered it correctly. No, I do not. I think I had a part. That was my part in it. Is I could have, if I was more confident, if I was more practiced, if it wasn't the first time I tried stand-up, I would have done a better job. But I fucked it up. And as soon as I took off my guitar, all of my confidence left. All of my practice lines, everything was gone, and I just like stumbled through the ideas. But that's the thing about stand-ups is you have to be more practiced on it. If I went to an open mic and did that same thing, that's permissible because everybody knows it's an open mic, right? But if I brought that to a giant stage with a bunch of people, and it's my first time ever doing stand-up, I all of a sudden, all of it left, and I'm like, and I stumbled along to the end and ended with that last line, masculinity isn't toxic, it's delicious. And everybody was just like, okay.
I could see that. I could see that now.
That hurts.
That makes sense. Thank you for walking me through
that. Hurts.
Huge chills. I got huge chills.
It's a little ironic, though. You're like ending a shitty performance saying masculinity is delicious, right?
Well, I still stand by what I said, but I also think the thing is about especially a crowd like that. The reason why they wouldn't get along with that is because they're afraid of what other people, they need to get okays from everybody. You disappeared again, Megan.
I know. I don't know why. Okay, here.
You gotta get close.
Isn't it annoying when that happens?
Get close.
Everybody is petrified. It's okay to laugh if someone else is laughing. If you make a race joke, as long as the black person is laughing, then it's okay as me as a sheltered little white boy from Berkeley to laugh. You know what I'm saying? But it's a very keep up with the Joneses type of liberalism that's like, oh, I need to, especially in that crowd, especially if the lights are fucking way too high and nobody's drunk.
That's a general though. Like any fucking vibe is killed if the lights are on and there's no bar.
Exactly. It was a perfect fuck storm of just dog shit. I should have just sang.
And it was a shitty stand-up show. Why are you making so much excuses? I'm sitting here watching you try to bail your way out of a shitty performance.
I fucked up. I fucked up.
My God, we all have shitty performances before. It's good. Just say you had a shitty performance and we can move forward amicably. What are we talking about here?
Listen, I'm not saying as an excuse. I'm saying as an explanation. Okay, there's a difference.
Yo.
But had things been a little smoother, it could have been whatever. What I should have done was in the moment.
Perform better. Like, what are we talking about?
As somebody who's never fucking done stand-up before, shut up.
I don't do stand-up. I can't. I wouldn't even imagine.
I wouldn't even be able to ever do stand-up. Even as a musician, that shit is a whole fucking different level.
Yeah.
But if I had been more confident in that moment, the reason why my worst performances are what they are is because of a lack of confidence. Okay. That's what usually tips it off is I get insecure that I'm going to fuck up the lines. And then I fuck up the lines because I was insecure that I fucked up.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, but there was also a physiological response to you taking off your guitar.
Yes.
And as you were talking about it, that was what was sticking to me. Like that was like your barrier of. So the veil was removed, and physiologically your body responded, which caused you to be insecure. Which, yeah, I get it. Right. I totally get it.
The reality is that I love doing stage banter. I love, pointing at people, fucking with people. Even in my previous Tourettes Without Regrets, you can see me fuck with the crowd and have fun and stage banter, and everybody's with me, and I'm in the moment and juicy and blah blah blah. But as soon as I took up my guitar, I'm like,
"You call yourself juicy?
Hell yeah!" God damn.
Like, who was that joke? Juicy J? It's like that's the only man I'll ever call Juicy J.
He calls himself Juicy.
My head looks like a berry. Maybe that's why.
Look like the
Don't
peach emoji.
Deprecate like that.
Your head looks like the peach emoji.
Ooh.
That's funny. But yeah, that was a weird one. And two things can be true at the same time. I fucked up. I should have done better. It was weird. It was a horrible whatever. And that show was a bit.
The lights were too high. There was no alcohol.
Why did you connect that with asking me if I ever rap the N-word though? What was your parallel between those?
Because you said you noticed there are certain topics that you lose the crowd. So what is it topic?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I think that at Tourette's specifically, and I kind of agree. It's like you shouldn't bash like any LGBTQ at Tourette's, and then like understand racially who you are going to be rapping against. Like if I'm rapping against a black man, I would never say anything that's going to be racially offensive. If I'm going against a white person, like I can say racially offensive things just because it. And
didn't you do a paper on that?
Yeah, I did a paper on I studied like all of these different rap battles, and I studied like their demographics. So like what races they were, and then how the audience responded to them depending on what race you are and how you're attacking another like ethnicity. So it's like
the crowd's willingness to accept racial slurs or racial
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like if
based on who was saying them. And how they were said.
If a black man can say any racial slur that they want, and the crowd will be receptive to that. If you're like Latino, you can say like almost any racial slur, and the crowd will be pretty accepting of it. and then it kind of goes down this line. But like as a white person, like you really can't use many racial slurs except for maybe to like an Asian demographic. It's the only one that like the crowd is approving of. But that's real, like that
it's real, but it's
the rap battles, and look at who wins, and this is judging by people's responses, not necessarily like the judges at Tourette's are fucking audience people. It's not like they're there because they have an agenda.
I think, yeah, but audiences can only be as, especially if they all know each other, can only be as genuine as they believe they're allowed to be, right? Mm-hmm. So even though that may be true, or that may be absolutely correct, the paper you did, it's also the second step to that personal opinion, I'm never wrong, personal opinion, is that's fucked up. That's literally telling you're taking weapons away, and not just that. Here's a better illustration. I don't know if her name is Alice Love or Alicia Love. I can't fucking remember. Some black lady named something Love was in the poetry battle, right? And she was in the poetry battle over and over and over. She won every single fucking time because all of the fucking white people in the audience says black is good. And I'm not saying that she's not talented. I'm not saying that she's not talented or creative, but what I am saying is if you take all of the weaponry subconsciously, if you take all of the weaponry away from someone else, because I'm a black girl, you can't hurt me in this way, this way, this way, this way. You can't make fun of me. You can't tease me because it's not, again, that idea that Colin Quinn said this great fucking joke. He's like, when you're punching down, it's not, it's okay to punch down because it's not punching. It's fucking jokes. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to comedy. So if you're taking away subconsciously or otherwise those weaponry, it's almost like taking the claws out of a bear and going, you can't hurt me, nah, 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 nah. It's bullshit. It's unfair. And
but you're contradicting the historical context of being I think that the reason why the crowd is not, receptive to those fucking bars is because, hopefully you would be in an environment where it's like, yeah, like degrading a black woman or like trying to even, it's a battle. So like, obviously, like you want to have these.
Are we talking about the battle or are we talking about the general crowd receptance to art? Well,
it's kind of both because they're the audience is the judges, right? Yeah. So I'm saying that subconsciously the audience is like, yay, black girl's going to win because I'm a white person who feels guilty about my whiteness. And so, I'm going to lower the standard for what Alice Love or whatever the fuck her name is can rap with. And I'm going to watch this white person impotently try to fight this battle, even though they know subconsciously that no matter how talented they are, they can't really pull out all the guns. They can't really pull out all of the weaponry. All of the creativity is not.
But if their weaponry and their creativity is rooted in identity politics, how?
No, I'm saying it's not rooted in identity politics. But if we're going to want to judge this little battle, and it doesn't really matter, but if we're going to judge this little battle based on talent and creativity alone, you're taking away little slices of not only talent and creativity, but the spontaneity and the energy flow of what someone can use in their arsenal. I know we keep talking about it in this battle, but you guys are rap out. But if you're taking away not just their talent and you're slicing away bits of it, you're also making them, remember, we go back to a lot of the talent and creativity that can come to the table is from confidence. And if you're stifling that because you better not say the right thing, I'm ready, that's not fair.
It's different if you're not being empathetic to like a person's lived experience that exists outside of this rap battle, So it's like I see what you're saying. Like
he's saying is because she's a black woman and it's sensitive to insult black women. Their standard or their bar for what's talent and how they receive it is lower.
Right. If you want to make. I'm saying yes. And I'm not saying that she's not talented. I'm saying that the swagger she has after coming back every month after month after month is unearned.
Oh, well, I think what you're talking about, I think it's big fish, small pond, right? Like if you're a regular in a place that has on average, 250 people in there, and people know you for your art and your performance, then yeah, you're going to carry a certain swagger, but it's only in that little community.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? As opposed to the larger community. I get what you're saying in that regard, but I think it's something that we've spoken about. All like the at a certain point, like we need to switch it around. Like we can't have the same rappers in the rap battle month after month after month, because then you start knowing who's going to win, and it's just like it's kind of like, and then
or you're friends with them.
It just becomes stale at a certain point.
But I also understand what you're saying as far as like, are you really judging for talent based on talent, or are you just like as someone that's judging the battle like, oh, I have white guilt, I'm going to give it to this person because that's how like society says I should feel. And I agree with you to that extent, 100%. But I think if you're the battler, if you're the person that's throwing the jabs, like you have to have this framework in mind where it's like, I'm not going to say certain things because I understand that my opponent legitimately has to like go through these lived experiences after this battle. And
yeah, I think
they're going to come up. If they're going to come to, I'm going to, because I want to get back to this idea with you specifically, Megan. But like, well, let me posit it this way to you. You're actually a good fucking rapper. I'm not talking to you, UnLearn. You're actually a good rapper, but I have been in a lot of shows where the bar is set lower for women, subconsciously in the crowd. And I know it bothers you just as much as it bothers me, or maybe it doesn't. But for me,
I mean, what do you mean? Like
I'm saying,
not for battles or performances?
Performance. I'm saying if a pretty girl gets up there and literally just puts the mic to her face, everybody's going to be like, yeah, bobbing their head, not just because they can't really hear the lyrics, but because it's like, oh, a girl's doing this, when there's a lot of ugly motherfuckers, and I'm one of them who sometimes have not hip hop, but like who the standard is different, right? When real ass motherfuckers, you have earned your seat, Megan, as being like, yeah, I'm actually good. Don't give me the booster chair. You know what I'm saying? I want to come to the table with my fucking balls. Nobody gave this to me. I fucking earned it because I put in the work mentally to craft this, to become more creative, to become more talented. And again, I'm not saying that Alice, whatever her name is on that, but I don't want the standard lowered for me. I don't want to know that I got points because I'm half Puerto Rican. No, just judge me based on my shit, based on my product that I have worked on.
Yeah, but I think you're also dismissing basic socialization theory. Like we have to apply a person's lived experiences. We have to take that into account in the way that we receive their entire art. Right? My art doesn't hit the same if I'm a white guy. If UnLearn the World as an artist
it's crazy.
has all these lyrics, right? And you hear it and you feel it, and then you
find out you're a white guy.
Yeah, you flip the CD and you see it's a white guy.
Holy fuck!
It hits different.
Megan, take a sponge and rub him real quick. I want to make sure he's not white underneath.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like it would hit different because you're not accounting, or you often don't. You take for granted how much you account for identity and experiences to be in the framework of what then becomes the art, right? Like right. you can't no one can clean slate it, because that's almost saying like I don't see color, or that we shouldn't see color as it relates to artistry. You have to, because that is part of their lived experience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But if we look at people like Eminem as an example, or even Frack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In rap battles, he doesn't say racial stuff, but he's fucking delicious. The motherfucker
is Jewish stuff because that's what he clings on to for his identity, and he realizes he gets a leg up by being Jewish.
Okay, I didn't know that, because I don't know if I don't remember enough of whatever, but he does look Jewish. You're welcome on the show.
But I mean, like, you have to do that. Are you saying that, like, even with him, white as fuck?
No, I'm not saying content-wise, like to your point, UnLearn, I'm not saying content-wise it would be the same if you were white, okay? Because it wouldn't. It would be different. but talent is fucking talent. Creativity is fucking creativity. It just because you take out certain lived experience of living in the ghetto or this or whatever the fucking.
We're also talking about hip hop, which is a culture that like you have to understand historical context and who created it.
Well, I think he's talking about art in general.
Art in general, because
Okay.
poetry slam or whatever. Regardless of the art, we can all subconsciously sense, I believe, when someone actually gives a shit. When someone actually gives a shit, I think it hits.
Yeah, but I think So to your point, I think audiences respond differently in different ways, and you can pretty much tell in the energy that's put out. People will respond to a performance even if it wasn't good because of the effort that they see was put into it. There's a lot of artists that we know that we wouldn't necessarily say they're the greatest artists ever, but they're applauded for the effort and the energy that they put into it. So I think audiences respond to that often. They're like, well, this person was so and so, but they really put it together, so I'm gonna clap for that. Mm-hmm. Then there are the kind of audiences that they're literally transcended in the moment of the performance, and they respond in kind to that.
It's
what I mean.
They feel that, but there's also, even sometimes in the same show, just a different person or whatever, who will go, "Oh, pretty girl. I'm going to lower my standards because it's a pretty girl." And goddamn. And that, you know what I'm saying? And not only is that not fair to the other people who have worked harder and have the clay itself, regardless of, yes, talent and creativity is absolutely a work. It's not enough to go, "Oh, I have this potential." But the potential itself, the spark, was given to each of you fucking artists to be like, all right, now let's see what you do with it. But for someone who is not only not, I think, given that spark, I'm not saying Alice was or whatever, but there are some artists who you can feel like you don't really give a fuck. Like, this is just a social thing for you, but everybody in the room is like, oh, because they either want to fuck you or want to be liked by you or whatever the fuck reason is. There's some lowering of standards, and I don't like that.
Happen for men though, because
totally happens for men.
I feel like the exact same thing happens where like you give a man, like the same way that it's a pretty girl, you can have a pretty man that's like not very talented and they have this certain look that everyone's like, ooh, we like that. And then you put him in front, auto-tune his mic, and have like a talented, DJ in the back, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, they're fucking dope! I want to fuck them too." It's the same thing.
I mean, now we're dealing in branding psychology and the way the brain receives art. You know what I'm saying? Like just brain, we receive it better if it's somebody who's nice to look at. There's not as much of a threshold. We don't create the same level of threshold, right? Because we're being entertained in another way. They don't have to work as hard because it's like, you know what I'm saying? If you're good looking, I don't need you to work as hard because you're satisfying my eyes. I'm being that ass. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody you see is like satisfying your eyes, then like, all right, if they just happen to hit the note, I'm fine. All right, I'm good. I don't need you to belt it out like Mariah, but.
Right. And I use that when I brought up the pretty girl thing. I'm not saying that whatever, because that is a valid point. But I am saying that's an example of we're lowering subconsciously our standards because Black girl and because this white person better. I mean, why else would she win over and over? And sometimes it's not just because she's talented. All I'm saying is sometimes that little skinny white girl who it's her first time at a poetry slam knows that she doesn't have everything in her arsenal. Not just race jokes, not just all the words she has, but subconsciously the crowd wants the white girl to lose, wants the white girl fucking bullshit.
Okay, if you wanted to get into a college and they were asking you all these fucking things and one of them was like your gender and your race and you knew that you're gonna get like certain financial aid if I say like, oh, if I say I'm a girl and I'm third generation Venezuelan and I'm this and that, I'm more likely to get in this college or get this financial aid. The same thing you're gonna utilize when you're in a rap battle. Like the thing that pisses me off is that men will oftentimes be like, you only won because you're a girl. But it's like probably them projecting the fact that they lost and they're just giving excuses. So,
but also,
I completely.
I'm saying you're the exception, Megan. Like you're.
No. I know that, but the same could be like flipped.
But what I think I completely understand where you're coming from, Peter. I think what we're not accounting for is the benefits that have come historically of heteronormative behavior. Like that white heteronormative behavior in most of the world is that's
Why'd you do this? What is that?
Nowhere.
I'm looking for like a white.
no, I have a point here. I have a point here. Just
right with you.
I'm gonna walk. Yeah, I'm gonna walk you through it. So, in most other spaces, in most other spaces of society, white heteronormative is of benefit and is of value, right? As it relates to finance and business, as it relates to like white, you know what I'm saying? White guys have dominated the rest of the world. So in this little pocket of earth that is this little artist community, right? This may be the one place where heteronormative may not be the most celebrated thing. This may be the one place that being a white guy may not be the most positive thing, right? And that's just one pocket of society that has to kind of accept that. Because in every other pocket of society,
I get that.
you are the main thing. You see what I'm saying? So fine, be uncomfortable for a minute. I'm a heteronormative black guy, but maybe in this little neck of the woods, heteronormative black guy isn't the shit that people want to celebrate there. They want to celebrate something else. And same thing in the Bay Area when it comes to artistry in general, right? There's a lot of publications that will celebrate a Filipino woman rapper or celebrate, you know, some indigenous woman rapper versus another artist who's heteronormative and black. But because because they haven't been celebrated in any other facets of society, give them their just due there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the point of Tourette's, if you're a white guy, it's quiet for you in certain respects. If you are heteronormative, it's quiet for you in certain respects. And you have to understand that that's okay in that space, because outside of that space,
you profit from it. You profit
from it. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Now, even if I ride with you on that idea, you that I'm talking to you right now, do you want to be respected as an artist or because you got a leg up that you didn't deserve?
So are you saying that being a woman and attractive gives you a leg up in certain respects?
I'm saying not new idea, same concept. But do you want to be respected because you earned it or because you got unfair advantage?
I mean, of course, because I earned it. I think everyone would say that.
But what's earned?
Right,
I think it's subjective. I think earning it is subjective, right?
I think we feel it in our belly.
So no, because I think it is. I think we're not accounting for luck, and we're not accounting for other facets. It's not just talent and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Talent wise, you need certain things at certain places at certain times to be at levels in terms of your artistry.
Serendipitous.
Regardless of where you are at in the fame hierarchy, I'm saying all along that line, because I'm still cheap business. But like all along that line, I still knew in my gut that I'm being honest with myself, that I'm earning my fucking way, talent-wise, not career-wise, not fame-wise, talent-wise. I am better than I've ever been, and I fucking earned that. And there are bodies behind me of people who decided, I don't want to put in that much work, whether consciously or subconsciously. I don't want to put in as much work as these people who are going forward. I'm going to swerve off the highway, off the talent creativity highway. I'm going to go this way. So fine, good luck with you. But for somebody to be keeping pace with me because they have the right fucking skin color is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it's not earned to them. In their bones, they know in their belly. She may be, yeah, I appreciate the applause now. But when she fucking can't sleep at night, okay?
I agree. Like, you definitely want to hear, like, it would be nice if the person that you're receiving this information from looks the way that you want them to look and also is talented. And I agree that sometimes this may occur, using Tourette's as an example, where the audience is swayed to another person based upon how they look.
Yeah.
And maybe not so much talent. And I personally, I would like to be appreciated for my talent, but also I want you to also recognize me as a woman, me being, biracial, bisexual, what that experience represents in context to my artistry.
Right. I'm not saying take the context out or take the recognition out. I'm saying, are we, say we're in Tourette's Without Regrets, are we a race parade or a gay parade or some sort of appreciation show? Or are we a fucking talent show? Are we a rap battle? What are we?
I think people go there for the experience, not really knowing what
they
they're.
go there for the experience, like.
I was talking to Jamie,
and the mere entertainment value of it, right? You got
right.
Even don't, but I'm saying they shouldn't call it a rap battle if it's not really a rap battle.
I do agree. Yeah, I mean, like this.
It's an appreciation of Black people's show, an appreciation of gay people's show, an appreciation. Fine, my hat's off to you. But if you're going to call it a rap battle means people coming together, regardless of the content. Again, it can be recognized, it can be whatever. But if you can feel it in your bones when someone actually has put in the work to be good enough to be ready to actually hit.
I see what you're saying. I think so. It's a couple of things going on, and we could get to your point in a minute. But to your point, I think what you're talking about is trying to apply the principles of the institution in the larger umbrella of what this entertainment experience is, where I would imagine that the people who created Tourette's or booked Tourette's or whatever have it the opposite way. They're saying this is a rap battle filtered through the experience of Tourette's Without Regrets. This isn't a rap battle in the same way that it's fucking 8 Mile. You're not going to get 8 Mile.
That's exactly what it is. Like they're putting in a rap battle
you're not
in
going
this
to get
other thing.
8 Mile level rap battle shit in Tourette's Without Regrets. It's not going to happen because so with that said, every other thing that they do is filtered through that aesthetic, right? If they're going to have a poetry slam, it's a poetry slam that's filtered through Tourette's Without Regrets and what that represents as a brand. Right, it's a dirty haiku battle filtered through.
Yeah, there just doesn't exist a place in the Bay Area where it's a legit 8 Mile rap battle. So
Right.
It's the only place that you can go to get this. So yeah, you're not going to get like a raw 100% talent thing. It's going to be filtered through this Tourette's Without Regrets experience because hip hop hasn't been.
And then whatever demographic that brings, whatever demographic the Tourette's Without Regrets brand brings in are the people who are judging you, which is perpetually. I've seen really dope rappers who win every other round lose at Tourette's because the audience that's judging you is not a hip hop audience.
Not primed to hear the information.
But for you as a creative to perpetually put yourself through that, knowing that, I think is a exercise in futility. You know what I'm saying? Like our brother, what's real? I've told him time and again, stop fucking battling. Like you're a recording artist at this point. For you to continue to go to this battle and lose every time you go on,
he won.
Great. He won once after 20 times.
No, it is true. It's like you're not. You might not be a rap battler, but you are creative and artistic in other ways. Like there's something else that's transcendent. Maybe not battling isn't the arena that you are successful in.
I just wish that the audience members wouldn't think that they are experiencing a rap battle. And number two, which is a pipe dream, I know. And number two, if it's all going to be the white guilt show, fine, let me know that ahead of time. You know what I'm saying? Not me as a performer. I'm saying everybody involved in it. Just like, okay, we're going to be taking white guilt and bullshit. We're going to take your identity first before we take whether you're talented, creative, whatever. So personally, I could not fucking sleep at night if I knew that the standard was getting lowered for me. I could not fucking do that.
So do you think it's also a challenge to your own creativity to do something? I think it's even if you're going to position yourself in this way. Like, it's more challenging as a creative person, say I am a white man at Tourette's, to beat this person and be received well. Like, because I know the color of my skin, I know that I'm a heteronormative man. So in that regard, like, I have to find new and creative ways to win the crowd over in this way.
Right. And I agree with you, because a couple of things you guys have said, I get that as an explanation. But the fulcrum word that I want to throw out there is should. Should it be that way? Not that I don't get it.
That's completely subjective. Like, we were just having this conversation before we hopped on with you. We don't know the intent of the people who produce the show. They may have a different intent. So we're here trying to, as artists, we're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. We're trying to come in with our artistry and say it should be as we want it to be, not recognizing or holding into account that the people who have designed it are trying to produce an experience that has nothing to do with your agenda. They have their own agenda.
That's
You know what I'm saying? And it's not like a nefarious agenda. They just have a tone and timbre of the show that they want to provide. And if your artistry happens to align with that, then great. The more it aligns with that, then perhaps you're able to find an audience that really respects your artistry that you can then mobilize elsewhere and on other platforms. For me, for example, with ROTC just happened to be the platform that aligned the most with what I was doing as an artist. So that when I hit that stage, it created an environment for me to be my most authentic form of artistry, which people saw, and it transfixed. It got them to like, I'm a fan, and I can leave ROTC and now take those people with me. But ROTC facilitated that.
A perfect backup or proof of your point, because that's a great point. Perfect proof of that is the fact that the first 2 times I performed there, the first time I gave them just a cover song and I gave them lots of energy, and it's not my show. The second time I was like, okay, I'm going to push the envelope. Some of you might get lost, but I was able to push the envelope and take them with me, and it was joyous. And they liked me for pushing the envelope. They liked me for questioning them and bringing up some good points. The third time I was a little annoyed with them and wanted to give them, okay, here's Little Mermaid to start you off. And now here's a bunch of medicine. And it wasn't my place to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't my place morally, but it makes sense that not only would they not drunk too bright, I'm not ready, I take off my guitar, but also like there was a neater way that I could still push the envelope and fit into what their idea was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what performing is in general. Like, you want people to receive the thing. You have this idea and experience in your head. You want the audience to have that same experience transcend to the audience. If you're not able to do that in a creative, transcendent way, that they're not going to feel that, they're going to disconnect, they're not going to listen, they're going to disagree, they're going to go step outside for a cigarette, what have you. So it's like the same way that you're trying to, communicate whatever thought that you have, which I'm sure is well put and well argued, because when I listen to you, you're very articulate. I want to follow along with what you're saying and agree with you. But like, if there's something that disconnected with the audience for them to turn away, there's a reason for that. Like,
especially in the context of music, because you only have 4 bars. You know what I mean? You only have a certain amount, at best, 4 minutes to put your point across. You know what I mean? With a podcast, it's long form. It takes me sometimes 10 minutes to get to my point, because not just for the listener, for the person I'm having a conversation with, but just for myself. I get to the end and I'm like, oh, that's what I meant. Okay, now it makes sense. But when you have 4 minutes, that's why it's hard to put in the work. That's why it's good that we take that time, and it takes us years to craft this fucking thing, because by the time you're ready to get up there and say this thing, the rules are, as an example, with freestyle, the rules are different than an album. The standards are lower because it's just off the top of your head.
Respecting that skill.
Hopefully this works. You know what I mean? God, shit, woohoo. You know what I mean? And that's why I feel like if you're just throwing and vibing with the flow, but if you don't have all of the fucking arsenal, it's a little unfair.
Well, I think that, like, if you're judging a competition and you're taking into respect, okay, this person is legitimately freestyling, and so in my brain, I'm like, that's a merit, that's a quality, that's something that I know, so I'm gonna judge them in a certain way. And then if you look at another person who's like, this is all written, and it's very well put, but I know this isn't freestyle, then you judge them accordingly, So it's like, it's still the experience. Do you think that how are you going to judge these people on what they're saying and how well put it is, or the fact that they're doing it off the top of the dome?
I think it's setting that criteria and having that criteria communicated to the artist. I think that's
or to the audience, communicated to the audience. Yeah,
well. Like, just like, here's what the criteria is. But I think
and they did a good enough job at Tourettes Without Regrets. They have a big part of their culture is you don't fucking boo. You know what I mean? Like, you clap for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, they have those rules at the beginning, like be to the artist. This person has more balls than you, and I respect them.
Be offended is their main rule too. Is like be offended.
They don't mean it.
Or maybe the audience just doesn't like make that agreement when they walk in. The audience isn't really agreeing.
No, I think to Peter's point, he's like, they're saying be offended within the offenses that are permissible in this space, right? But outside of those offenses, if you're offensive in a way that we don't really agree with, it becomes problematic.
Right, which is a little sadder for me because I spent those first 2 performances with them. The bulk of their audience is repeat. They've been there tons of times. They get the gist. They get the rules.
Community, yeah.
And so if this is my 3rd time performing, I'm not a piece of shit. I may be fucking up the words. I may be fucking up but I'm not just coming.
But we're not going to give you the reception because the work wasn't there. Like it was, you know what I'm saying? Like
Valid, but I feel like
if you're feeling like if you were the black chick that you could have stumbled through that shit and they would have still applauded for you and loved you. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. I'm really glad that now we're getting to what you're trying to say.
Bringing it full circle. Now I'm getting with
I do agree with you on that. But
and that's not to say that Alice, whatever the fuck her name is not talented. She's very talented, but I want to be playing the same. And I know you're right. It's their booking. They're the producers on that rock and roll. But I artistically, mentally, I want to be on the same fucking rules as everybody fucking else because I want to be able to sleep at night. God damn it.
Yeah, but I also think the one variable we're not factoring in is that, to your point, she's on that stage pretty much on a monthly basis, right?
I don't know who are we talking about, Alice, whatever.
I think I know who he's talking about. Okay. But in any case, she's there on a monthly basis. She's like a regular.
Okay.
Where you may be coming in sporadically, right? They don't have the same relationship with you or tolerance for your fuck ups as they would for her. And that has less to do with identity politics and more with, she just had an off night, but we've seen her be great.
Right.
7, 6, 8 times this year. We've seen her be great 8, 9 times. I was for every Sunday, right? Every Sunday I'm on that stage freestyling. I can have an off night and people be like, it's an off night for UnLearn the World because I've seen him show up 40, 50 times. You know what I'm saying?
Does UnLearn have off nights? I've never seen it before.
I know.
It's very rare. But my point is that
I just don't go like, I'm too high. I'm going to sit here.
If I do have an off night, I think people let it slide and they still kind of applaud me in the way they would, even though it wasn't my best performance, only because they know they can get from me every other time. Right? So she, as a regular, she has been afforded that license of perhaps having an off night and people still applauding her. So even on that night where you may not have thought she was the funniest, it could have been very true. It could have been an off night for her. But for the audience who knows her and who knows that 6, 7 times out of this 8-month period she has delivered, I'm still going to give her the just due. But if you coming in the 3rd time out of 2 years or however long that was spread, you don't have the same. There's not the same trust. It's not the same benefit of the doubt.
Right. That might be part.
You're a bold white guy, so
that might be part of it. But I didn't verse her, right? And in the competition that she was in, it's not freestyle either. It's all written poetry about the person. You're practiced going. You know who you're versing, right? So if you're taking away, it's not just, this person might have an off night. She's in a competition. In a competition, you're supposed to all come to the table with knowing what this is. It's a competition. I'm not saying she had an off night. I don't even fucking remember. But all I recognized was every single time I saw her, she's winning, and all the white girls are like, woo, yay. And I'm like, okay, do you want to call it something else other than a competition then? Here's a perfect example. Or maybe not a perfect example, but maybe another one. Have you guys ever been to a burlesque show?
Yeah, Tourette's is a fucking burlesque show. Am I tripping?
Yeah.
Okay.
A traditional burlesque show, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so a traditional burlesque show, and all the girls I've seen dance at Tourettes Without Regrets were goddamn. Now, I'm not saying everybody who gets up on stage to be burlesque has to be goddamn, but I am saying at a specifically a burlesque show, there are certain shows that you go into and it's not a burlesque show. It's I'm going to applaud because you had the balls to take off your clothes. And if you want to call it the I'm going to applaud because you had the balls to take off your clothes show, yay, hooray, good for you. But if you're going to call it a burlesque show and then I get up on stage with tassels, you know what I'm saying? Like there should be different rules for me versus a fucking 19 fucking, whatever, a delicious goddamn type of chick. There should be different rules. That's all I'm saying. If you call it a burlesque show, okay, I still applaud. I'm not rude. I'm not an asshole, but I have to change my context because everyone else in the room, all of the skinny, all the white girls in the audience have subconsciously changed their standards for what they see on stage. It's now a yay, you had courage show instead of it's a burlesque show.
Well, that's because those are the values that have come from the producers of the show.
And rock and roll, but why don't you call it that?
Well, no, but that's what they're doing. I think that's kind of implied. It doesn't necessarily need to be stated or overtly like written out. It's implied. We're gonna come here and have body positivity. We're gonna come here and be queer as fuck. And this is a safe space for us to be queer as fuck. Safe space for us to be black as fuck, hypersensitive, whatever. It's the freaks of society who don't get to get that kind of swag anywhere else.
But also, it's not.
I'm happy for them to get it. I'm happy for them to get it. But the girls in the audience and guys, whatever, and even me, who are applauding are not saying, woo, I'm so proud of your courage. They're saying, ooh, hot mama.
But okay, are we saying when they're burlesque?
Real is all I'm
it's not
saying.
just a burlesque, like I'm taking off my clothes. It's like they're doing some shit that's impactful. Like they're taking off their clothes, whatever, body positive or actually like sexual in the way that society accepts sexual. What they're doing is impactful because it's with music that they chose. It's in an arrangement that they fucking choreographed. It's more than just,
Yeah, I think
taking off your clothes and being brave.
Yeah.
It's a whole performance.
Okay, but the girls, maybe that's a good example, maybe, I don't know. But if one of those, they're not just delicious at the Tourettes Without Regrets show when they're burlesque, they also put in a lot of fucking work. Bring out the pole, swing it upside down. That bitch has spent hours scraping up her fucking knees to put in the work to get where she is. Her body is in good. She eats goddamn broccoli, the poor thing. She puts in the work to get where she is, right?
So you're mad that somebody who does that gets the same level of audience reception as some fat girl with laundry day drawers on. Gets the same reception. That's what he's mad at. Yeah, I understand it. I understand it. I understand it. If I was the fit white girl, I'd be upset that here I am working as hard as I need to get the same reception that this other chick is getting who doesn't put in the same level of work.
Yes, and I won't say right. I won't even say reception because I don't want the girl in period panties. I don't want the girl with, who's all frumpy to not get love. I will clap, I will applaud, but subconsciously I'm like, okay, but this girl hasn't put in the work. She's not giving us.
Yeah, but I'm not. I understand what you're saying, but here
they want to say yay period girl panties, which is obviously an exaggeration, but they're like, oh my god, you're so sexy. They say, oh my god, you're so sexy, when it's like we all know we want to fuck one of the people on this stage. And
yeah, but I think you're applying these like these heteronormative standards in a place that it does not exist. This is not the platform for it, right? So if we're gonna talk about homely looking girl dancer here, and
I'm happy for her. I'm
broccoli eating pole dancer here. Right? Maybe this girl gets love in this circle. Pole dancer, broccoli eater can leave this circle and still get love
everywhere else.
Every fucking where else.
The word I want to say,
period day girl doesn't get love everywhere else. She don't. She gotta get love there.
Absolutely. I want her to
hate it, man. Let her get love.
I want her to get love. But the word I will change is love itself. I do not want her to get love. I want her to get love. But you're the hottest thing in the
need
world.
to love her. You need to tell her she's the hottest thing. You need to, personally, you. You.
Expensive. UnLearn. All right, guys.
It's also like
Not charged for this dick extra large.
to be the person.
Mards, treat my bitch like an ATM card.
If you're in a competition though, like, and you go on there with your period panties, like, because I've had the same framework when I'm trying to compete. I'm like, what is gonna like be the most impactful? Like, I know they're not gonna respond just to my skill in itself, so I'm gonna go rip my clothes off and like pour blood on my head and like do all this other crazy shit. Oh, I disappeared. Where am I?
Yeah.
Also, because I know that that's gonna, it's a certain recipe. So it's like some people can go there and be just talent, and people respond, or some people have no talent and they just have period panties, and everyone's like, whoa. Either way,
but imagine if those two girls went into a competition and were in a rap battle, and the pretty girl couldn't say, "Bitch, you have period panties on," because it's not right. Imagine. That's what I'm saying.
If you have period panties, isn't built upon like all of these like racial injustices. That's like period panties. It's not the same thing.
My whole point is that like this is the world where that's acceptable. This is a world. It's literally a world where those rules, those normative standards do not apply in this world. And by walking into that room, paying your $15, you make an agreement that that's not the normative, that the normative is not accepted here. You make an agreement. And however that arranges, whether it's in your favor or otherwise, in that context, has to be fair game, because you can walk away from that. You know what I'm saying? Pole dancer Broccoli Girl can simply leave Tourettes Without Regrets and get it popping anywhere else on earth, and she knows that. And because she knows that, she's perfectly fine losing a singular battle to chubby period panties.
Can we call
this? She should be.
Will you call this episode period panties?
She should be fine with that. You know what I'm saying?
People are going to be so confused.
I was just talking about it the other day when I was for example, like ROTC, I've lost to girls who don't even record music. I've lost battles on the MVP battle to girls. That's fine, because I know I can leave ROTC and get it popping somewhere else.
Exactly. It doesn't hurt your ego.
It's not all right, and here's why. Because those audience don't know no fucking better will leave that show and think they're just as talented as you.
Let them think that. Whatever. Like,
I'm out here getting it popping elsewhere.
Let them leave and think that's
Let them leave and think that, because I have the ability to go somewhere else and get it popping. My poppingness or my ability or my talent is not contingent on an audience's reception at this one location.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. But if we are all changing our own subconscious definition of what talent is, definition of what creativity is, definition of what good lyricism is, definition of what fucking delicious fucking burlesque is, if we're all changing that definition, you think that stays in the room? It doesn't stay in the room.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, it depends on what you're doing outside of that room. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really depends. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I've lost a battle to a woman or anybody else and somebody walked away and was like, yo, UnLearn is whack. I don't think anybody has done that. They saw me lose a battle. Then I don't think it changed.
Okay, but then they go into
who I am.
Right.
Unless it's really like embarrassing or mortifying.
I've had that happen to me before.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
what?
I've had that happen to me before.
What, lose a battle?
Oh my God, probably. I had this written battle with this chick, germ free. I've told this story, right?
Oh, yeah.
She's a fucking like, she was so easy for me to beat, yo. But I was just a procrastinator. I wrote literally as I'm going to this trip in the car, I'm writing my battle bars for her. So, of course, inevitably, I'm rehearsing everything I'm doing all night, rehearsing, but I get there and I choke and I forget every single fucking thing. Right. And so this chick beats me. She literally has porn video. Where am I? She has videos she leaked her own porn video. This is how fucking trashy and easy it is. She leaked her own video of a dude like jizzing on her disgusting face. Like, it was so easy. Her name is germ free. She ain't germ free. And And I fucking choked. And I think I walked away from that, and people are like, they're only, in LA especially, their only idea of who Lil MC is rooted in that one experience. Like, oh, she fucking ain't shit now, you know? So.
Right.
Yeah, but I understand, but that's like real world in LA, right? Like
LA's a big world.
But there's a little community, is my point. LA is a big world, but there's a small little community where that may be the reality or the perception. But you as artists are able to leave that, go on tour. You're able to go elsewhere. You're able to do videos in Atlanta and create a new
later. That was years later.
But absolutely. But here's what I'm saying. Going back to that first point. Imagine if Lil MC goes to that show, and instead of your fuck up or your reputation being built on shit, I should have done better. Instead of that, it's because you are subconsciously kept down because she's black and you're white. So that reputation you earned is not fucking earned.
You're like,
I see where you coming from. I just can't get on board. I can't get on the gravy train yet. I'm not there yet. I see what you're saying though. I see what you're saying. I just think that I think there are certain spaces where all the things that make us who we are and as talented as we are, we lose that when we walk in the door. We lose that gusto. We have to come up with a new gusto. Right? There are certain communities and certain spaces where me being the swaggering peacock heteronormative black guy is not going to benefit me in this other space. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that has to be fair game in that one space, because I know I can leave that space and then that all those things can benefit me elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Whereas for that person or that community, that may not be the case for them elsewhere. Like you know what I'm saying? That's all they have.
Both of you motherfuckers.
I know. Every time we get into it, our heads disappear.
I'm gonna try to make clips of this, and it's just you both disappear. I'm like, I can't even use any clips.
Okay, we should not use this virtual background.
It has nothing to do. Oh, it is.
People are like, why does that girl sound like a guy? Or that guy sound like a
For real though. Okay, I'm gonna talk. And
right now, it's gonna be the special.
Well, hey, I'm UnLearn the world.
You do it. Hey, I'm a Lil MC.
Whoa, that was really good.
Wait.
Let's licking your chops in my woman. I'm gonna put you in your face, my nigga. Like, don't.
Let's do it on purpose right now.
Dude, licking his chops.
Right now. I'm sorry. Let's do this on purpose right now. UnLearn, you back up out of the camera, and you're gonna say, "Hi, I'm UnLearn the World," and you're watching CONSERVATISH. Megan, okay. I want you to mouth it while he says.
Okay, get too far.
1, 2, 3. Hi, I'm UnLearn the World, and you're now watching CONSERVATISH.
That was one of the dumber things I've ever done on my show. We're here
to get the goods, man.
I don't think anyone's done that before. This could be a trend.
Go like 15 more minutes. You down?
Yeah, sure. 15 more minutes. Why not? It's a Saturday.
So, yeah, I guess I get what you're saying, and on an individual level, I would want to know that I could fit into this. I would fit into this. I know. Oh, this is a woke show. I better reach into my bag, my talent bag, and.
But I think as an artist, I think as an artist, that responsibility is on you for you to know what audience you're walking into. You know what I'm saying? There's certain communities of artistry or platforms of artistry that I've walked into knowing what kind of show I have to give them versus the show that I may have wanted to go in there giving them. You know what I'm saying? And it has to be in my arsenal to be able to pull that audible. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going into a hyper woke environment or a politically correct environment or a POC empowered environment, and I'm coming in with my own, my slick toxicity and all my New York bullshit, they may not receive it as well. But if I have something in my arsenal, if it's in my arsenal to say, okay, I know what kind of audience this is, let me speak to political issues, let me speak to, issues with regard to race and my own experience and spiritual issues, and they can reach me on that level. If I have that in my arsenal, then I'm not tripping that I can't use the toxic shit. Right. I think it becomes a problem when you walk in there with your swaggering toxicity or whatever you think is your shit, and you're in an environment that doesn't celebrate that shit. And now you're putting the square peg in the round hole because you're like, damn, my bars aren't hitting as hard because they don't. You know what I'm saying? That one punchline I have about slapping a woman on the ass, they don't like that because they don't like disrespecting women. where if I did that at a club in New York, that might have been the bar that people were like, oh shit, he ill for doing that, saying that hyper toxic line.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying? And that's something for me as an artist in the Bay Area, I've had to combat hundreds of times. Like, just because I come with my New York. I just come with my own toxicity, my own bullshit that is not really celebrated out here. So on one level, it's like, oh shit, he has this really dope shit, and on another level, they're like, ew, I don't really want to, I can't really get on board with that because whatever. Like,
but let's address something.
Okay.
When I hate that you're calling it toxicity, I fucking hate it.
It's a buzzword.
Because not just, I get it on a buzzword definition, colloquial, I understand. But the fucking, would you like him if he was weak? Come on, Megan. Come on, goddammit. If he didn't have just a scintilla of fucking swagger.
But she's toxic too.
I'm toxic. I wrote a song called I'm Toxic.
She's toxic too. So
every girl is. We're
responding to our own toxicity. I couldn't have anybody
who is.
It
is frustrating that people don't admit to their own toxicity or liking it. They just they're sheltered from their own reality, but.
And I think it also comes with younger. I think the identity that you're talking about comes with younger people who are trying to put their heart on their sleeve in terms of what they believe in and what they think is right, and they're trying to step into that kind of world. So things that rub them the wrong way or make them uncomfortable or have to question their own principles aren't as well received in certain spaces that they really want to thrive in that identity. You know what I'm saying?
Why do you hate the word toxic?
What?
Why do you hate the word toxic?
No, he hates the fact that like certain aspects of masculinity are considered toxic, even though he.
No. Wait. I'm saying I don't like you defining the artistic line of New York, whatever. If it's in the context of this is a fucking song, don't call it fucking toxic. We have songs about murdering people. It's fucking art. It is art.
My point is that certain audiences will perceive it as toxic.
Okay.
I'm speaking about the perception of the audience. For me, it's not toxic. That's my experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's my experience.
You did
right? But for them, it's toxic.
Right. Now
for them, it's toxic. So, like, I wouldn't, even though it's my experience, I know I can speak to another experience, is my point. It's not necessarily code switching. I just have enough in my artistic arsenal and my experience as a man to be able to provide the vibes that are appropriate for the space and the audience that's receiving it.
I would even go a step further and say if you're not versatile enough, it's because you're not talented enough, or because you haven't worked on it enough to give a fuck enough. Like the fact that, here's a good example. I can go into a wine bar and give them just as much talent and creativity singing fucking Little Mermaid or whatever the fuck, and then give them just as much talent and creativity that may be my more genuine, vulgar shit, my more vulgar, genuine message, but it would be an asshole move of me to try to fit the square peg in the round hole and say, no, you're all going to listen. Look at what I'm doing. You're all going to listen. You're all going to listen to this.
Song about me. Why don't you use this finger? Why are you opposed?
So I get that. But I'm saying Tourette's is a good example that it does leave the room. And if we're telling all these white people, these little sheltered little white kids, you need to lift up these people or change your definition, not lift up, but change your definition of what art is, of what talent is, your standard of what the fuck bar is, then the money will be spent on motherfuckers who don't deserve it. The attention will be spent on motherfuckers who don't deserve it. Poor Alice, or maybe she's not a good example, but other poor motherfuckers.
You're gonna totally hear this.
She's gonna snuff you when she sees you, yo.
I'm not scared of black women. I can handle it. I'm only 45%. Fuck with that white woman. Talk to me, baby girl. I have no problem with you. And I don't have a problem.
You guys are gonna end up married.
I think she's a talented person, but I'm saying, how could you sleep at night knowing that all these white motherfuckers, I have them on a string around my finger rather than earning it?
I think she sleeps like a baby.
I don't.
I think
I've heard her poetry. I've heard
baby because I would be perfectly fine as a black woman in America with all these white motherfuckers kissing my ass in this one space because they don't kiss my ass anywhere else on the fucking earth. They don't. They don't. I have to walk into work tomorrow and have to be a white asshole and code switch my entire goddamn life, right? Why can't I have it here? And let her have it there. She can't get it anywhere. No?
Everywhere. If she lives in the Bay, especially, she gets it fucking everywhere. Anytime a black chick,
but not really though.
But even then, but
raise her temperature.
Even then, you know how big the Bay is compared to the rest of the world, fam. If she just gets it in the Bay, you know how small the Bay is compared to everywhere else on the planet Earth, where a black woman can feel comfortable and celebrated.
Power corrupts. Power corrupts.
Power corrupts.
That's why all these white girls who are like, I'm so sorry for, they're not being their authentic self. The black chick who's getting all that fucking power, she thinks she's actually powerful. She's powerful because these white dumb motherfuckers are not telling her the goddamn truth. She's powerful because, do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that she's not powerful. I'm saying if you're getting your fucking jollies off, abusing motherfuckers just because you have black skin.
How is she abusing? How is she abusing?
Oh my Lord.
This is a hard language, bro.
You can smell. Bullies smell shit. Everybody has bully in them. Everybody. And if you smell that you getting benefits that you don't fucking deserve, it's delicious. It's delicious. It feels
all right. Well, whether or not she deserves is a completely subjective, number one. But number two, even if she didn't in that space, dude, it's
don't make that
she don't
face
get
like
it anywhere else.
Explaining something.
You understand what I'm saying? Like,
all right, if she doesn't get it anywhere else, why do black girls? Ask any black chick walk into the Target, try to return something to Target? You ask me in a real fucking stance if she gets more leeway than some white girl. Would I please like to maybe return this thing, please? I think it might be defective. A black chick can go up and say, I shit on this pair of jeans. Give me my fucking money back or I'm going to cause a scene. And the poor little manager will give them money.
Are we dealing in hypotheticals?
That's white guilt bullshit.
Yeah, but I think white people have a lot to fucking be guilty about, my nigga. Like that's like I think that yeah, we can complain about white guilt or the platforms that celebrate or encourage white guilt, but white people need to be guilty about a lot of fucking shit. So if I'm in a space as a black person with every societal obstacle I have to experience in my life, psychologically, mentally, physically, if I have to go through that my entire fucking life and it just happens that I'm in a space for 3 hours where white people get to feel guilty. Fuck it. Let them be guilty for 3 hours.
I wouldn't. I'd be able to sleep.
I will sleep. That's my fucking NyQuil. I will sleep with it with white tears in my nightcap to go to sleep. You know how bad they fucked up the earth? You know, like colonization, slavery, fucking the English language. It's all global warming.
Goddamn.
Consumer capitalism. Are you fucking kidding me? It can't be uncomfortable 3 fucking hours. Get the fuck out of here. Nah, let them be uncomfortable. Let them kiss my black ass. I don't give a fuck. For 3 hours? You conquered the entire fucking earth. I can't be safe for 3 fucking hours?
Yeah, this has to be a joke. This should be a whole stand-up. Everything
you fucking, yo. Like, let them be fucking guilty for 3 hours. Let them soak in their guilt and celebrate a black person for a change in this small little place that happens once a month in a small, minute place of the earth called the Bay Area, right?
I'm waiting for you to start talking for 2 seconds. All right, now, 2 things. A lot of what you said was just horseshit, but I'm going to pass by that, and I'm going to ask a simple question UnLearn.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids, right?
Yes, sir.
Is even Stevens, the idea of even Stevens, hang on, is it a mature, sustainable way to parent?
Even Steven? I don't even know what the fuck even Steven is.
Right, I'll explain what even
Stevens
is. Talking about,
like,
I'll explain what even Stevens is.
Yeah.
Daddy, he got a thing and I didn't get a thing. Okay, I'll bend over backwards to give you exact thing, and now you get a thing. Oh, but Daddy, he got a thing that's bigger than my thing. Okay, Is it a sustainable, mature fucking way to parent?
But that's not the way that I parent. So no, I wouldn't agree with that way of parenting. But that's not the way that I parent.
Because it's dishonest coddling bullshit.
Well, it's dishonest coddling bullshit. But I would go as far to say that in the context of parenting, right? There are moments where your children need to feel special and connected to you outside of the relationship with their other siblings. So as a parent, I make it a point to have a special day with my youngest son, and then maybe 2 days later have a special day with my older son, so that they have those individual, and in those moments, they are the priority. In those moments, there is no having to jockey for position, for favor in my world, right? They are the priority. So to that point, to apply that to Tourettes Without Regrets or any venue, there are certain values and principles that for the time being they are priority. Right? If I walk in to Tourettes Without Regrets, understanding that certain principles and certain lifestyles are going to be more celebrated in this space than they would in any other moment, and I'm willing to accept that for that community of people who need that, because
that's not what you said. That's not what you said. You said white people should feel guilty.
I'm saying that white people should, if you're going to go in there, you should have the understanding that yes, you're going to feel guilty at one point in your life. And if you have to feel guilty
at one point in your life,
at one point in your life during this night,
turn on any television, turn on any fucking movie. Are you kidding me? No. Here's what I'm saying by saying even Stevens. I just fucking broke something. Here's what I'm saying by even Stevens. There is something in the tantrum of a child that is the same animus of they got something I didn't, unfair or not, they got something I didn't, and I'm going to punish them. Here's the problem with living by a fucking tantrum. It is never satisfied. Never.
Which means what?
Just the white motherfuckers who did not goddamn earn this bullshit, you want to make them feel guilty. Maybe not you, but I'm saying if we're going to spread out that until it gets even Stevens, you think that's a sustainable way to live? You think that that's ever going to be enough for motherfuckers who smell blood, who want to pay back that motherfucker who made them feel inferior by feeling superior to these skinny little dumb little white motherfuckers who don't know no goddamn better? You're going to push them down, and then eventually they'll say, okay, I'm all good. You don't need to feel guilty anymore. Bullshit. That is not a sustainable way to live, because it's even Stevens. It's tantrum. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but we're talking about Tourettes Without Regrets and celebrating certain personalities and identities because of a temporal need or a temporal acceptance of a certain class or community of people feeling guilty. I don't know how it equates to the example you're talking about.
Because you changed it over here, and I'm not angry, but I mean I am. But
yeah.
But you changed it when you went into your tirade, which was fun. You went into your tirade about white people feeling guilty.
Because white people feeling guilty doesn't bother me. Like I'm putting temporary white guilt in the larger context of whatever else white people get away with on the planet. White people just got away with storming our Capitol. They literally got away with storming our Capitol with very minimal consequence. In the way that I see it, that had a person like myself storm the Capitol, I wouldn't be here to tell you about it. I would not be here to tell you.
I think this is going to be a stopping point for us.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's get to this shit. So I'll leave it at this. If in that context, if a white person is able to go into an experience like that, storming the Capitol, and leave alive, and I'm not afforded the same liberty.
You don't know that you're not afforded the same fucking liberty. Do you know?
We have proof.
Black people are 13% of the population and 53% of the murder. What are you not getting away with?
Say it. Could you repeat that again?
Black people are 13% of the population and 53% of the murder, 60% of the robbery.
Of the 60% of the murder, or is you mean the people who commit murder and commit robbery? No, there's 60% of the people who are being convicted and arrested for the murder or the robbery.
Okay, even half. Let's say it was half. That would mean half are evil, racist, blah blah blah. It's still double what it fucking should be.
How is it? I think you're creating
13 times 2.
I think it's,
I'm so confused with the
I'm
numbers.
partially confused, but I think it's also a false equivalency. My basic point is that using the siege on the Capitol as an example, I feel from my position as a black person, I don't think I'm afforded the same luxury to go fuck shit up in our nation's capital and walk away with my life. Right, in the way that I see.
But he's saying that, like, where's the proof that wouldn't, like, I guess you're saying that there's no proof because that hasn't happened.
I think there's no apples to apples example of that. Actually, no, there is somewhat of an apples to apples example because Black Panthers in the 1960s stormed Sacramento Capitol with weapons, and they made the handgun laws to prevent that from ever happening again.
You just made
They changed the laws in California to prevent black people ever doing that again. They changed the law, right?
Listen, I'm saying you're right. But what you did there was take a 2020 context and put it in 60 and take a 1960 context.
But it's the same context because the same situation is still going on.
It is
the same things are still going on. What are you talking about? How are the same things still not going on? Black people are still being violently attacked by police in interactions with them. Interactions with black people are escalating to a level of violence that is unnecessary for what they're getting stopped or arrested for. Right? If I'm stopped for driving through a red light, I should not have to fear for my life that a cop wants to give me a ticket. I should not have to fear for my life for that. It doesn't matter what the fuck I did. I should not have to fear for my life. I should not have to fear for my life and have a neck or a knee on my neck for hella seconds because some man at a store thinks that I gave him a fake dollar bill.
Even if it was a fake dollar.
Like that should not cost me my life.
But let me pause you. But me saying what I'm saying right now, I am not justifying what that cunt did to George Floyd. I am not justifying what those cunts did on Capitol Hill. But I am saying, if you're going to say, okay, if should be afraid for my life, you're right. Where's the fear coming from? If only 10 unarmed black people died at the hands of cops in all of 2019, only 10, where's the fear coming from?
Where are you getting this data from?
I think regardless of the data,
the liberal ass Washington Post.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where you're getting the data from because I'm not going to question the data. My point is, you're saying where are they getting this perception from? I would submit and argue that they're getting this fear from the general perception about black masculinity, period. That there is a historic archetype that has been created about black masculinity that has been made fearful to white law enforcement, period. You exacerbate that with a great deal of law enforcement having been veterans and already being trained and programmed to dehumanize their opposition or dehumanize the places that they patrolled in the war. And then they come back to places like Oakland, they come back to places like Washington Heights, they come back to places like fucking LA, and they have to patrol neighborhoods with that same instinct, and they control these same neighborhoods with that same dehumanization aspect and perspective that allowed them to survive in these other instances and through their training, right? So when that paired with this exaggerated fear of black masculinity, when there's an encounter, they honestly feel like they're in danger for their lives just because a black man raises his voice. They feel they're in danger for their lives, but that's based on their perception. That's based on a perception that was created, and it wasn't created by black men. That is a perception that was created by people who have a desire to socially engineer black men into a certain perspective in order for them to achieve a certain outcome. And we could get into a detailed conversation about that.
But here's what I'm saying. Hang on. You just said something, and now I'm going to say something. Could a piece of that, two things, could a piece of that, because I'm just wanting to add a little grain of salt, could a piece of that be the learned experience of 13% of the population being black and yet them being 53% of the murder, especially in Chicago, and 60% of robbery? Could a piece of that be learned experience, just like it's the learned experience, maybe part of it, of black people being afraid of cops is the learned experience, right? So it's learned experience. It's not just someone from up top saying, be afraid of Black people. It's also learned experience. And also, could part of that be the fact that sometimes y'all are a little fucking much? That sometimes being a little, don't put your hands on me. What do you mean, don't put your hands on me? We've all agreed that once I go to you, just like the dumb cocksuckers who stormed fucking Capitol Hill, are they surprised when they get fucking shot? They goddamn well shouldn't be. They fucking shouldn't be. Right? So it's like, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I understand what you're trying to say. I think
ability, it's not just, do you understand? It's the miscommunication and the learned experience. It's not, I don't think it's as simple.
But I don't think it's necessarily learned experience. I think what we're not accounting for, when you bring up those statistics, you're not accounting for that's where the convictions lie, that the DA has an agenda and not only an agenda, but actually has a quota to fill when it comes to certain things. We're not talking about, in context, the prison industrial complex that has to satisfy a specific occupancy rate in the jails in order to maintain the government contracts.
Might be part of it.
So this all trickles down into actually who gets arrested for violent crimes. We're not accounting for where these crimes happening and what the socioeconomical understanding is of that community. We're not accounting for that, because what's also not being accounted for when you think about socioeconomics and poverty and all of this is the psychological effect that has on people, the trauma. So yes, to your point, they're getting extra, but they're getting extra because they're already triggered from an inherent psychological response to oppression. It's already like they're already triggered. We're already on hyper alert. So if somebody grabs me, my brain is to react viscerally and violently. Because my brain is already on hyper alert. So that time I have that interaction, by the time I have that interaction with that cop, I'm already like in trauma triggered mode.
Right.
Most Black people, when they interact with police, are already in fight and flight response. Yeah.
So some people might be extra, and then some people might
extra
be like
because they are already in fight and flight response.
Sometimes they're extra because they're breaking the fucking law.
Yeah, but
they're extra because they're breaking and they fucking know.
100%
inside their head.
Why? They feel like they're entitled to break the fucking law.
Inside their head, they were told, they learned, it's okay for me to do anything I want because I got shit on.
I don't even agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think people are doing
goddamn a piece of it.
No, because I don't think Black people navigate through their life thinking that they're going to get away with crimes because they're Black. They don't.
Some of them do.
It's obvious that the game is rigged, right? It's obvious for the Black person walking through life that society is rigged against you. So I don't think that Black people are literally thinking, no, I'm gonna do this and get away with it.
Okay, so
you really think Black people are getting arrested and thinking they could get away with it?
No. Some of them, yeah. Here's a little complication to what you're saying. White people are 85% of the arrests for DUI, and yet they're 60% of the population. So why is it higher there? You're talking about quotas. Why is it higher there?
Yeah, but I think it's a false equivalency, because I think even in those interactions, let's try to figure out what the statistics are for the likelihood of a Black man dying in a DUI stop than a white person. That would be a very interesting, I don't know what those figures are, but I would be very interested in seeing that. Yeah. I'd be very interested in seeing the general outcome of violent interaction with police for Black and white police officers versus white police officers and white people. I would love to see what those statistics are in terms of violent responses and violent interactions. Right. And this is not to say that police are the people who are antagonizing this. I think they are responding to something, but I think the response, or I think that what they are responding to, is being received out of context. You're not receiving, you're just seeing, oh, well, if he's getting arrested, why can't he just comply? Why can't he just listen? Why does he have to resist the way that he's resisting, right? You're not accounting for all the other historical elements of trauma that create a dynamic in the psychology of a person's brain.
Okay, I've actually known, because of the work I've done in prisons, I know white, Mexican, Black murderers, okay, and some of them are selfish fucking assholes, okay.
I think that has a lot less to do with them being Black or Mexican and being sociopathic murderers, bro.
It's not sociopathic murderers. It's
different from murder.
No, it's
how do you not factor in how do you not factor in? Explain to me, how do you not factor in any sort of narcissist or what's the word, sociopathic behavior in a murderer, and you automatically dictate their behavior to race. They weren't killing those people because they were black and they thought they were killing a black person and getting away with it. Maybe they were psycho.
Let me explain I'm not saying they murdered because they were black. I'm trying to convey the idea that there are black good people and black pieces of shit. And there are white good people and white pieces of shit. Humans are gonna human. And I'm saying if we change the rules and say trauma gives you a blank check for any of your behavior, that's nonsense.
I think that when you look at historically where people are getting arrested and who's criminalized to begin with, when you look at that, I think your analysis is being done in a vacuum. I think that you're not accounting for how law enforcement is even created or how law enforcement even works in terms of isolating certain communities of color and certain just communities of color in general, but how they relate to certain communities and how those communities play in the larger social engineering scheme that exists in a capitalist society. Okay, certain people have to be in certain rungs of the totem pole in order for this whole shit to work. And I think that's what I think that a lot of people are challenging these notions, right? Because these are games and designs that are set by people who we don't even know.
And you may be right.
Play into nonetheless.
Right. And you may be right. But boots on the ground, I'm still responsible for my behavior. And just because I have black skin doesn't mean I'm not.
No, I'm not saying that, but there is an experience that typically comes with having black skin that causes you to respond in certain ways, is my point.
And why are there so many black people who don't murder, don't rob, don't rape, don't do
because they have a different set of experiences, period.
But you just said that there's something built in. Why are there 350 million interactions between police and civilians? 10 unarmed black people died in all of 2019. That's a big fucking difference. Why are there millions and millions not attacking the cop? And yet these people, do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I'm lost now.
I'm lost.
Okay, I'm saying, why are the black people who didn't, even though they grew up in the same ghettos and the same shit experiences, maybe had better fucking parents, that's a factor, maybe maybe are more responsible, maybe they didn't get stopped by that one asshole cop. There's definitely lots of different factors here. But I'm saying why, if you're gonna say that black people can't, it's an explanation for all these black people doing horrible shit, right? Why do they get off the hook? But the majority, almost all black people, don't murder, don't rape.
But then no one's getting. I don't know who's getting off the hook. That's what I'm confused at. I don't know who's getting off the hook.
You're trying to explain why these people decided, because they're mature adult fucking human beings. Some of them are not, obviously they're teens or whatever. But why are these adults? Why are we explaining away what they did, but not the millions of people who had the same black skin, even often shittier experiences than the ones who did get popped, and yet these people are not responsible for the decisions? I'm saying responsibility is across the board.
No, responsibility is across the board, but if we're talking about responsibility, my basic point for the beginning was, why do these interactions, regardless of what's being done, result in murder? Why do they even get close? Right? Like, why do they even get close to murder? I don't give a fuck if I'm yelling loud at a police officer because they stopped me at a DUI stop. I shouldn't have to die.
No, you shouldn't.
That shouldn't even be, that shouldn't have to be a probability in my brain as a black person. I think a lot of black people, regardless of whether they live law-abiding lives or not, are still psychologically fearful of an interaction with police officers because they know that there is a very high likelihood that that interaction can lead to
very high.
It's very high.
10 unarmed black people died in all of 2019.
Why don't we ask your experience? Let's not do data.
No.
You tell him what your experience with cops are.
Yeah, I'm saying we're bringing up that statistic to say as if like black people are getting away with things now because everybody wants to be hypersensitive, and then black people are somehow leaning on the race card to get away with crime.
Some of them are.
And I'm telling you, no, we're not. We're not getting away with crimes. They're lots of us.
Wait.
Alice Love? We're talking about Alice Love again?
Juice, listen, the same juice that wants to get away with it right now, pay the mental consequences later. You don't think that exists in all humans?
So, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're trying to equate what this comedian at Tourettes Without Regrets experiences.
Equate is not a right word. I'm trying to make an analogy here.
Okay, so walk me through the analogy.
Okay,
walk me through it.
Yeah, you guys are gonna fight virtually. I already know.
The animus behind "I'm hurt," justified or not, if it's real or not, because I know a lot of people who think they were hurt, but they weren't. I was one of those people. Everybody has that victim mentality. Maybe you don't. Maybe you haven't seen that in real, but I'm a recovered alcoholic. I know a lot of motherfuckers who believed things were true that were fucking not, okay? Because that's the benefit of insight or trauma therapy or whatever the fuck you want to call it. There are some people who feel hurt, who want to get back at motherfuckers, just like we always, it's a colloquial phrase, hurt people, right?
Yeah,
you heard that phrase? Okay. Mm-hmm. If someone believes they're hurt, doesn't necessarily mean they are, but that they can if they can exercise that power to make them, just like a skinny, Patrice used to have that phrase, the worst cops, the most abusive cops are the shortest ones or the females, because big, statey motherfuckers don't need to exercise power to make themselves feel powerful because they know that they are. Real nigga, what's that phrase from the Ghetto Boys? Real gangsta ass niggas don't flex nuts because they know they got them. Okay, if you're flexing nuts everywhere, you're gonna do that, right? I'm saying it's kind of, in a way, analogy wise, there's the same animus behind. No, say I'm Alice Love, and again, I'm sorry for dragging your name.
Yo, snuff you. I'm telling you, oh my God, I love it.
But if I'm somebody who can look around at all these white people and they're all looking at me doe-eyed, just blinking slow, like, I love you, you can do no wrong, I'm gonna give you everything. If I can, power corrupts, and it's just like, yes, I will take that power. Yes, I will take that award. Yes, I will take that. And you don't think that same animus, not equating, the same animus behind, if I can get away with something. I mean, there's a Harvard professor, a black fucking Harvard economist, who did a study, the exact study you're talking about, the exact study, Fincher or something like that. I got to find it. But he did the same study a couple years ago because he was fucking furious with all these cops killing black people. And he was, God damn it, what the fuck I'm going to do? He's an economist. So he's one of those nerdy motherfuckers who wants to do the numbers. So he does the fucking numbers. And what he found out, police are more hesitant to shoot a black suspect because of the consequences that will happen to it. He did say, on the other hand, though, that black suspects are more susceptible to getting roughed up. Black suspects are more susceptible to, maybe some grabbing by the arm, which makes sense because sometimes you're a little, I get it, right? So they're definitely more susceptible to the bullshit that end, but not to the death. That white suspects are actually killed more often. I will send you the fucking numbers. It's a black Harvard economist who did it. But, right, I'm saying the animus behind them being afraid, you're right, they shouldn't be afraid. But the fear sometimes is because white motherfucking liberals will get more motherfuckers clicking on their shit and watching CNN if they say, you're all gonna die. It fucking, some of it is the culture trickling down, not experience trickling up.
Yeah, but I think that's a shift, right? Because what you're talking about, and that shift or that value system, how we have it now, probably only exists for the last maybe 15 years, right? We're not accounting for the hundreds of years that have preceded it, where that wasn't the case. So, as a black person understanding historical context, I'm personally fine. Yes, it may be a fucked up system, but I'm fine with me being on the other side of the system rather than having been through any of the eras where black people weren't on that side of the system, where liberal guilt or liberal whatever was not protecting the lives of black people. That we have generations of that. So the fuck what we've had 15 years where it's a little bit lopsided. So the fuck what in Tourettes Without Regrets, this one woman, black woman, gets more love than she would get anywhere else, right? you have to take those individual experiences and put them in the larger cultural and societal experiences of history, right?
And I'm saying here's when you said so what? When you said so what? I'll answer that question.
Sure.
You will never be satisfied. When a bully gets your money today, he does not come tomorrow and say, "Thanks for the dollar yesterday. I'm all good." It's more. You give a motherfucking mouse a goddamn cookie. White mouse, black mouse, Mexican mouse, trans mouse, whatever fucking mouse. You give a mouse a cookie. There is something built into the animal that I am, that you are, that everybody is, that wants to feel that security, that wants to feel that power. And so
they want to be seen. I don't think it's a power thing.
I think it's exploit opportunity.
But we're going to exploit opportunity to be seen and to be valued, and that's what we.
How many years until it's even Stevens? Remember I said that phrase, until it's even Stevens?
But it's not even Stevens because 600? But my point is, we're talking about one woman and her experience in this one platform, and you're saying that absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? But it's this one platform. What is
no. You were already talking about
Tourettes Without Regrets by winning in that one place.
That's a small piece of it. You just said, on the grand scheme of things, it's good for white people to feel guilty. So would you please quantify how many years?
Quantify how many years white people have to feel guilty?
I guess it's like, yeah.
I think until things are equitable. I think until things level. Until we, yeah. I think at a certain point, yeah. Or maybe it doesn't, or maybe it shifts over. Maybe black people become the overlords for a few hundred years, and then it shifts back. Everything is cyclical, man.
And I get that explanation. Man. So it's like, remember when we were talking about it earlier?
We could take it into the larger context, right? Black people really ran the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years. If you look at Mansa Musa, if you look at the pyramids in Egypt, civilizations where people of color were the authority around the world, and then it shifted to be Eurocentric, right? So we could play this game in the micro and the macro all day in terms of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So maybe for the last few hundred years, it was white people getting their way with shit, colonizing, taking over this, fucking sending spaceships and monkeys in the air and all that shit. And now maybe over the next 20 years, you're starting to see a gradual shift into something else. And what we're experiencing in terms of our social upheaval are the growing pains of a paradigm shift.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to disagree with you on the timeline, but I'm going to, just for the sake of the argument, or just for the sake of the idea that I'm about to put forth, I'll say, sure, 20 years. How has Africa been doing about it? When black people are in power, in charge of other black people, how good is Africa doing?
I mean, there's countries all throughout Africa that are thriving. South America or South Africa, Nigeria, that are
a woman is 4 times more likely to be raped in South Africa than she is in America. 4 fucking times.
Okay, and how many serial killers do we have in this country versus other countries?
All I'm saying is black at the top. All I'm saying is black at the top doesn't equal good.
I don't think anybody at the top equals good. I think power in general.
Then why the sweet hot fuck are you pushing for this even Stevens thing?
I'm not pushing for the even Stevens. I'm saying that there's a paradigm shift that you have to understand when it's no longer your turn, right? When you're playing basketball and you want a team of motherfuckers, sometimes you get tapped out to get subbed in, right?
Absolutely.
You gotta wait your turn.
And let's put aside.
If you understand your role in the larger context, you're okay with that, is my point.
I'm saying let's put aside the explanation.
Sometimes Steph Curry needs to sit out.
Let's put aside the explanation. Remember the thing I was talking about with dumb Alice Love? Should it be that way? Is that going to be sustainable? Is that going to get us to the next fucking evolution we need to be as humanity? It's not.
What I'm saying to you, brother, is that it's all cyclical. So whether it should or should not be that way, that is not my call to make because it's cyclical. This is beyond me. It's larger than us.
No, it's not. You're responsible. It's not.
In terms of cycles and shifts. And if I happen to be on one side of the shift, then I have to recognize my place in that. In the same way that Steph Curry playing ball, he could be the championship, most badass motherfucker MVP on the team. But at a certain point, he got to get tapped in and subbed out, and he knows that. He knows, yes, I'm putting up 35 points this game, but I know at a certain point I got to get subbed out. And I know I have to play my role and sit back so somebody else can run the game and run point.
That's a weird analogy, but again,
But no, it's the same analogy because
I will go to this.
There's a paradigm shift. What we're talking about in Tourettes Without Regrets is a microcosm of a paradigm shift. So I think what you're speaking about is your discomfort as a heteronormative male for the most part.
No.
Feeling away that you're not celebrated in a way that you do outside of that
white guilt bullshit. No, unlearn you.
Okay, Puerto Rican guilt bullshit.
Go back to this.
Nigga bullshit, whatever you want to call it.
I fucking refuse. It's not a good enough argument to say, well, you don't get it because you're blah, blah, blah. Fuck that nonsense. You're too mature for that. I will say, and I'll end it with this. I will say we are all responsible for the paradigm shift and the way we react to it, because you're responsible for your cul-de-sac and your kids. You're responsible for your cul-de-sac and your kids. I'm responsible for my fucking cul-de-sac. And when we all make decisions to go in the audience, yay, I'm going to clap for this chick who has period panties. I personally am responsible for it. I'm not going to just go, oh, well, I'm going to go along with it because it's right or it makes sense. Explanation wise, it's great. Should. How do we, Bill Hicks had this fucking great bit where he said our next evolution as humans is not another goddamn fucking thumb. It's mental. We need to maybe let go of these different institutions that aren't serving us anymore. We need to get into goddamn space. Do you think it's going to be working out if we act like 4-year-olds and said, he got a mango and I didn't, it's my turn. Vindictiveness is not
exactly what you're doing, though.
What are you talking about?
You're mad that Angela Love got the mango and that you didn't.
Oh, goddamn it, no. I'm saying, I get what you're but that's not what I'm fucking saying. I'm saying animus. What bothers me is not that bitch won. What bothers me is the dishonesty of the white cunts in the fucking audience. What bothers me is the dishonesty to not go, I'm being vindictive by holding someone's head down so that I can feel better about myself. Just because white people, dumb piece of shit ass motherfucking white people did it for a long time.
So, all right, in this particular example, was there somebody else in the thing that you think should have won?
I can't even remember. I'm saying
it's an analogy, right?
Thank you.
No.
That answered my question.
I'll explain.
I'm good.
I'll explain what I mean. The tools in the other person's kit were snipped. Not just because she couldn't say the N-word or whatever the fuck, but because she's facing somebody who's black. And all the white people are like, all black is good. All white is bad. All black is good. All white is bad. They're fucking transfixed. They're not honest with themselves. They're not treating that bitch with a fucking equality, especially if you're in a competition.
But we're not equal. We're not. We're just not. Should we? You know what I think should? I think you should do stand-up comedy with your guitar. You're a lot more pleasure to be around. That's what I think. And I think that's the perfect way to end this conversation. I think you should have your guitar and do your stand-up because when you take it off, you're kind of a dick.
That's what it is.
Listen, I love you both.
I love you, bro.
You guys are awesome. I'm sorry if me and UnLearn fucking get on a little there.
No, it was great.
Get it out now. Get it out on.
That was great.
Where can people find you? Please plug yourself.
Unlearn the world, all the things. LilMC.music.
Are you gonna say?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you do. Lil MC Music everywhere. He said it right. LilMCmusic.com. Ratchet and Woke podcast.
Ratchet and Woke podcast every Friday.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. We did a show, everybody. Go listen to the episode Ratchet and Woke podcast.
Called Spike.
Yeah.
Talking about fucking a dog. It's really intense.
I like going.
He came on with a dog for you, but you might have gotten too aroused. It might have turned to Jeffrey Tubin on it.
I like that we all think we're like philosophers and that we're talking about fucking dogs. It's beautiful shit.
That's exactly what it is, baby.
Perfect shit. Okay, and you said you changed your Instagram, Megan, to there's a DOT.
Yeah, I did.
DOT.
There's LilMC.music. I'm still remembering what it is. I just changed it.
I'm looking at the heart on the side of your face, and it's amazing.
Yeah, can we just acknowledge that we did this all while tripping on like a bunch of mushrooms? So
you did a fucking great job. I have nothing fueling me except for iced tea and fucking.
Well, there you go.
Piss like a
get off them cigarettes, man.
I know.
All right, brother.
All right, everybody, go subscribe to the goddamn show. Let me do this right. Sorry. Subscribe wherever you're listening. Make sure you rate it, review it, share it with your less offendable friends and your more offendable friends. Share it with your black friends. And if you have any, you white liberal piece of shit. I love you all very much. Thank you so much, Megan, UnLearn and Lil MC. Love you guys very much.
Love you. Peace, man. Take it easy.
Amazing.